Hi there, and welcome to the weekly Growth Execution webinar. Here today to talk to you about product market fit. Now, every week we are here live in the Growth Execution group on Facebook, or you can catch us later on YouTube, a video of this. And the idea is to give you, whether you are launching a business afresh, whether you have a business that's been going on for a little while and you just want to sort out some of its facets, or if you are looking to potentially pivot your business, this is where you can come and you can discover tips, tricks, executable actions that are going to help you to develop your business and to help it to grow and to grow fast. Now, as I said, today we are focused very much on product market fit. This is something that has been thrown around for quite some time, and it's not always obvious what it means, particularly if you are relatively new to growing or launching your own business. And indeed, to some people, it means different things than it does to others. So what I wanted to first of all do is to embed it firmly in our growth execution formula. Now, you will recall, I'm sure, that the growth execution formula has three distinct disciplines: product, marketing, and sales. These are the three most important things that you need to focus on in your business. Everything else is peripheral to these three. All right. And then within each three, there are 5 distinct elements. Again, you need to focus on each of these 15, and that will enable you to grow your business fast. Now, product market fit is very much centered in the second of our elements, which is product design. It is very, very early. And that's because without product market fit, you're going to have some challenges. Okay, it's not going to be very straightforward. So by understanding what product market fit is early, and by executing on it, you're going to be well set when you go further and deeper into the rest of product, including pricing and so on, marketing, and then into your sales effort too. All right, so we're here in product design, and product design is all about the journey that you take your customers on to solve their pain, to achieve their goals, to help them to solve the problem that they're facing. Now, it starts with generating some interest within that particular customer. So you've got to design your product so that it has embedded in it the ability to interest people. Now, obviously, marketing later on and then sales is designed to drive those home and to make sure that you absolutely are then able to deliver on it and able to ensure that they want to buy it. But within the product as well, it needs to have enough that it is going to engage with people very quickly. And from the interest stage to the engagement stage, these are steps that customers are going to look for, and without them, essentially your product is going to sit around and nobody's going to be paying that much attention. Okay, what you want the outcome to be of your interesting and engaging product or service. Remember that when we talk about products here, we're always talking about service too. The delight stage is all about it achieving what the customer wants it to do. Okay, and it is that where your product market fit lives. All right, and then the fourth stage of design is about advocation. It's about ensuring that it is really straightforward for your customer, your potential customers, to then advocate on your behalf as to why this product is so good for them. All right, so these are the kind of 4 steps that you need to go through when you're designing your product. Now we're going to focus in on the third one, which is all about delight. So how do you make sure that your product is delighting your customers? All right, now it is all about iteration. Okay, iteration is another one of those words that is thrown around quite a lot. And there is a great book, we're going to come into a recommendation in a sec, but another recommendation for you is The Lean Startup by Eric Ries, R-I-E-S. If you haven't read it, then please do. It is pretty much the go-to book for startups, The Lean Startup. It's all about how you get what is referred to as a minimum viable product out into the market. Now, what you're trying to do in product design and what you're trying to do with product market fit is to get to a stage where what you have is absolutely perfect for the market, for the people that you are seeking to serve. All right, now to do that, what you need to do is to hear back from them as quickly as possible. It is almost tragic, the number of businesses, the number of products, the number of services that have been built in isolation and maybe phenomenally technologically advanced. They may look absolutely beautiful, and they may work really, really well at what they're trying to do. But if the market does not want that thing that they are trying to do, then they are in a the product itself does not fit the market and therefore is going to fail. All right, and that is why, as quickly as you possibly can, what you need to do is to get your product into the hands of those that are going to be buying it in the future. Okay, so we've talked elsewhere in product service, particularly also in marketing intel, the elements 3 and element 7, about knowing your audience, about the people that you are here to serve, about having avatars of those people. So what you're doing here is you are positioning your products, you are then taking it out to representatives of that audience, and you're getting feedback from them about what they think of your particular product or service. Now, this stage can be pretty emotional, I think it's fair to say. It's one that when I'm working with clients, I tend to want to either be present or to do myself, because it's very difficult for people to hear that their baby that they have cared for a lot is not very good, is ugly, and so on. So I think that there's care needs to be taken when you go out to potential customers or to representatives of a customer group, and take your product and service out there and say, "Ta-da! What do you think?" Because if that's what they think, then comes back as being, "We really don't like it," there is a tendency to try and justify and try and explain away why you have done what you have done, and they will go, "All right, that's fine, yeah, good luck," but you won't then be able to actually get the real information about what your product or service is. So do use a third party to get some of this feedback if it's something that you think you are likely to find difficult to hear negatives about, and perhaps even if you don't, because you never know until you actually hear it. But that information that you get back, that feedback, is so important to building and to iterating until you achieve product market fit. So you have your minimum viable product, which is the smallest and cheapest version of your product that does what it should do. Okay, so it's got to achieve what you want it to do, but it's got to be a relatively cost-effective and light version of the product or service. You get that out into the market, you hear back from potential customers, listen to them. Don't just write it off as them not understanding what you're on about or anything like that. This is what people will do. If your product is not straightforward enough that it can't be understood relatively quickly off the bat, and then these customers will tell you that, and you need to do something about it. You don't just need to explain away as these people don't really know what they're talking about. So once you hear that feedback, you then need to iterate. Okay, and by iteration, what I mean is you need to look at various considerations and think about how you can tweak them until such time as your product does fit the market. All right, and what you're looking for is when you take it back out again, when you see what it is that they think about it, and the response you're getting is a broadly the majority of people do think that this is a good product for you. Okay, so that's what you're aiming for, and that's what your iteration is all about. Now, it is the case, and it's a great Henry Ford quote, where he says that if he'd asked people what they'd wanted, they would have said faster horses. Okay, so this is Henry Ford, Ford Motor Company. If I'd asked what people wanted, they would have told me faster horses. So being entirely dependent on what people say, so not having your own ideas, not having presented a minimum viable product, not having guided them towards what your initial idea is, then you will be at the whim and mercy of a very small subset survey of people. What you have to do, obviously, is have this great idea in the first place. You have to have the product concept, which is the first of the elements, before you get into product design. So don't, yes, you have to listen. Yes, you have to iterate, but be very mindful of designing by committee, because if you end up just with something that is almost Frankensteined everybody else's ideas, then it's not necessarily going to be as you would want it to have been in terms of solving the problem. But you also then very much need to make sure that you are asking and listening to the right people representing the audience that you're seeking to serve. All right, so there's some internal considerations, there's some external considerations for you to look at. What you need to do if you are at this stage, if you're thinking about product market fit this week, is go to the end and pare back. All right, so fix the problem, build your product or service, and make sure that it does what it needs to do. All right, the primary goal of your product design is to fulfill your product concept. Okay, the reason you are here, the why. And once it does that, then regardless of how long it's taken you or how many different steps you have at this initial stage, then pull away what you can pull away until it is this minimum viable product. Okay, so fix the problem, and then pull it back and make it so that it is light, so that it is as cheap as possible. And so that when you do go out to the market and you're testing it, you're not shipping them out things that are worth many thousands, tens of thousands of pounds, that you then find out actually aren't going to cut the mustard. All right, so that's a really, really important step, is making sure that you have gone all the way to fix the problem, and then you have pulled it back, pared it back, so that you then have something that is iterable when you take it out to the market. Okay, so the final thing we always want to do in every single one of these webinars is give you a recommendation. Now, this week's recommendation is an amazing book by Nir Eyal called Hooked. It is all about how you build habit-forming products. Now, this, again, when you're thinking about product design and you're thinking about product market fit, there is a lot to be said for creating something that is habitual. Now, when you think about some of the products and services you use every day regularly, things like perhaps Facebook, like Google, like, I don't know, Outlook, Gmail, things that you almost instinctively don't even think about that you're using. Those are the products and services, obviously, that are the most successful ever. So you look at the iPhone, so if you think about the $1 trillion club, you've got Amazon, you've got Apple, you've got Google. Those are businesses that clearly have products that we use every day because they're habit forming. And the habit piece comes from what Nir Eyal calls variable rewards. And variable rewards are so important. It's where you get something back, but not always, that is a surprise. Okay, so you might be scrolling through your Facebook feed and you might see something from somebody that is, surprising. They've got married, they've had a baby, something like that. Those are the things that mean that you will keep coming back to Facebook just in case there's something else like that happening. The variable rewards that you might get, from your smartphone, there's always different apps that you can go on and use. There's different phone calls coming through. Obviously, within that, you've got WhatsApp, you've got various others, communication mechanisms. So there's always a reason to look at your phone. So what this book does is it encourages you to think at the product design stage about where you might bake in some habit-forming products within your service, within your product that you are building. And it's really, really smart. It's probably the only book that I've read, I think, that warns you right up front not essentially to use your newfound powers for evil. And that's always wise, obviously, but particularly when you've read this book, you realize that actually it is very possible to create something that can get people essentially addicted to using products. And clearly, the gambling industry and so on is very much got a habit forming product. So there are some important caveats and some important care to be taken as well. But it's a very interesting thought experiment too when you're building and developing your own product or service. Now, as I hope you know, there's plenty more about product market fit, about all of these growth execution webinars and growth execution tips on growtion.co, growtion.co. Also, you can get yourself 20 minutes of free consultancy dedicated to your business. There are newsletters, there are loads of potential live events coming up as we move further out of lockdown. There's a lot in there for you. Do go and have a look, growtion.co, growtion.co, and find out what you need for the next stage of your business. I hope you've got some really useful, actionable insights from this webinar. today, all about product market fit. If you do want any more, do join us, Growth Execution Group on Facebook. Do subscribe on YouTube, like this as well. I hope that this helps. I hope that you have got a great growth week coming.